Welcome back to the Hive Mind Headlines podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Tranberg, proud superintendent of the Branford Public Schools. On this episode, we're focusing on a word that carries a lot of meaning and a lot of responsibility: advocacy. What does it really mean to advocate? What does advocacy look like at the state level, at the local policy level, and maybe most importantly, what does it look like as a student? In this episode, you'll hear from two special guests, from elected officials to students, both exploring how advocacy shapes our schools and our communities. Advocacy isn't just about speaking up, it's about being informed. It's about understanding systems, it's about listening as much as leading. And it's about recognizing that our voices, when used thoughtfully and collaboratively, can create meaningful change. At Branford Public Schools, we are committed to developing not only strong learners, but strong citizens. When students begin developing advocacy skills early, learning how to ask good questions, how to engage respectfully in dialogue, and how to understand policy and process, they become proactive contributors to their communities. And when advocacy is grounded in empathy and purpose, it benefits not just one individual, but as many people as possible. Advocacy connects classrooms to communities, it connects local conversations to state-level decisions, and it reminds us that democracy works best when people participate. Let's dive in. I'm excited to welcome our first guest, Representative Robin Comey. Representative Comey represents Branford in the Connecticut House of Representatives, a position she has held since 2018. During her tenure, she has been deeply engaged in issues that directly impact children, families, and our community, including education policy and early childhood initiatives. Representative Comey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So
Excited to be here.
we
Thank
are
you.
glad you're here, and we're going to dive right in. To start, let's think about the students who are our audience, since this is the Branford Public Schools podcast. For those students who are listening, what are some real and practical ways they can get involved as advocates, either all the way up to the state level or even at the local level?
Thank you. I think that's a great question because there are a multitude of ways that kids can make a difference with not only having their voice heard by elected officials, but also by perhaps advocating to your employer about something that's really important that you want to see a change being made. I mean, I think these skills can be really used in a wide variety of ways. When I think about advocacy at the local level, I often think about, of course, my own experience when I would advocate for my kids at the Board of Education meetings. And we would bring the fellow moms and myself, we would bring our kids along with us because when there are kids in the room, people listen. And we've been successful both at the local level, having a voice in policy. I mean, you have some wonderful board members, non-voting board members with the students on the board, and it's wonderful to listen to their opinion. And listening is really the key part of my job as an elected official because I represent those who elected me. And at the state level, I have worked with students who reached out to me from all corners of the state to make sure to pass policy that would keep them safe in restaurants when it came to how restaurants manage food allergies. And so while change doesn't happen quick, and that is the first thing that I explain to students, I think that, being really consistent and very direct and very matter of fact and confident about what you see the importance of policy being passed and how that would impact your life, people listen. And I've advocated with 7-year-olds at the table and and also, high school kids that were just on their way to college.
That's great. And we've actually seen it even very recently at the board. I think you're very right. When a student is in the room, people listen. When a child is in the room, people are listen because for us, they're the end users of the experience we're trying to provide. Do you think the same is true when you're thinking about your position at the state? Have there been times when like young adults would come in and provide testimony, or whether it's in person or written? And do you feel like it has a different level of impact potentially on legislators?
Absolutely. So I sit on the education committee and have since I took office, but I've also been sitting on the children's committee for that same amount of time. And the children's committee oversees sort of one-off issues involving children's safety. And when we have kids that would come in front of the children's committee and testify on something, say they were a foster kid or they thought that, we shouldn't be selling monster drinks to kids because kids were getting hooked on them and they weren't feeling good after drinking them and their own personal experience, even being hospitalized for something like that. And when they come and they tell their story, we're able to spend a little bit of extra time with them. And we often would committee chair Representative Linehan would often give a little pin or something like that just to recognize the fact that they took time out of their day. And we're always trying to encourage students to come up and be a part of the process.
That's great. And connecting to something that's really impacted students, especially in Branford. As you know, we have a new bell to bell, no cell phone policy in our schools this year. And the state legislator is looking at some policies that would support something we've already done. So, as you're hearing this, what are your feelings on policy? And is this a good step that the state should be taking?
I like the policy. I'm of an age, I'm in my late 50s, and we did not have access to of course cell phones or any sort of technology in school. And I think it's a positive experience. You guys have already taken the lead in it. And so I can support it confidently, knowing that my district, the people that I represent, are comfortable with it. But there is an education portion of it, and you have done a really strong job. The district has done a strong work to get people to understand what the issues are and creating a level of understanding throughout the community. And that is something that we're looking at with these policies, because some folks would not support any policy for that matter out of fear or just not understanding. They have one way they're looking at it and not understanding the other side. And so having an education portion of it, an ability for our districts in the state to have a little bit of flexibility in their own community, I think that's going to be and has been part of the conversation.
Yeah, and thank you for that. A key for us in the spirit of the educational component was really being clear that it wasn't about the board taking a position on cell phones, but taking a position on whether or not cell phones were accessing students' uh, access to their learning. And through all the data we collected, it was so disruptive, even for the teachers and monitoring policies where students had cell phones. That really helped make the decision with clarity.
And I will say that we have quite a few teachers and school counselors and other principals on the education committee, and they are in support of it, but also very realistic in that right now, the classroom teachers are the ones who are, trying to manage what's going on in the classroom as far as, whether it's in a bag or just in a box in the corner. And then, you
Taking
know,
time away from learning,
yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah, and so they realize that and they're able to bring that up. And that's what's great about the state of Connecticut in that we are a part-time legislature, so we are all working.
Mhm.
A lot of us have careers outside of Hartford, and having that experience has is really informative to so much of what we do.
That's great. Shifting a bit, I know you have a passion for early childhood. Where did that come from? What draws you into that part of the work? I know you play an active role in Branford's early childhood advisory as well. And why do you believe it's a critical investment for communities?
Thank you for that question. And yes, I am very passionate about early childhood education. I saw the difference that it made with my kids, and I- I'm not sure how I actually, sort of dropped into this sort of very tight knit community of early childhood providers. I got involved with the Branford Early Childhood Collaborative. It was funded by a statewide grant and by the State Department of Education for at least 12 years to some extent. And, we just lived and breathed early childhood for 10, 12 years and talked about policy and we worked on advocacy. And I know that when you make those investments at an early age, I mean, the science tells us you have 7, 12, even more, 15% impact. You get that much return on your investment. I'm going to continue fighting for that. I think that we've made a huge, huge step in the past few years. I mean, locally, but especially at the state. We have an endowment fund now. Hopefully, in a few years, we'll be able to offer families, low cost or no cost childcare in the state. And we are real leaders in Connecticut for that. And it's because of the work that my colleagues are doing and the folks that I've been advocating about this for 20 years. It's
Uh,
been great.
that would
Love
be
it.
that would be a major return on investment for our state if we get there for
Yeah.
universal pre-K.
And kids who enter school ready to learn will be less of a tax on the system as as the kids progress into upper grades and then even into adulthood, and they'll be more successful. So we are really setting the baseline for learning at those very earliest of age when your brain is developing at its max.
Yes, great points. As we close out this segment of the podcast, you've been in office since elected in 2018, started in 2019. Are there particular points of pride that you have that pop out during your time in office?
I think that I'm most proud of the fact that I'm a really good team player. Like, I'm not necessarily, looking to take all the credit for different initiatives or policies all the time. I really enjoy working as a team with folks, and so I am known for being really good, in that environment, but also for my constituent services. And, I had to I'm really known for my constituent services in the sense that when it was COVID time, when COVID was really hitting people hard in not only, their wallet, but in their how they felt emotionally. I was able to help so many people that they never forgot that I was there for them at their lowest point when they needed me the most. And so, you know, I've gone door to door and people have been like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're here." And it was because I helped them like navigate an unemployment claim or, they had a loved one who needed to be connected to, a senior care services or something like that. And so I think being able to help the people in your community is like the greatest gift ever.
That's well said. And thank you for your presence, your visibility in Branford. I see you all over the place, and you're very present every time we invite you to an event. So we thank you for that. And thanks for being a guest on the Hive Mind Headlines podcast.
My pleasure. Hope to be back.
Our next guest is Leila Verzella. She's a Branford High School junior and a member of one of our student groups, Bring Change to Mind. Leila, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
For our listeners, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, what activities you're involved in at BHS?
Yeah, so I'm a junior at BHS. I've been in Branford public schools all of my life, and I'm really involved in our school community now more than ever. I'm a varsity cheerleader. I'm also involved in clubs like Interact Club, the volunteer club at our school. But my passion at the high school is our Bring Change to Mind club for sure.
Excellent. Can you tell us, for those that might not know, what is Bring Change to Mind?
Yeah, so Bring Change to Mind is a national organization, and we're one of their groups. It's comprised of over 10,000 students nationwide. And their like mantra is basically just reducing the stigma around mental health. They have a lot of resources that we bring into the schools. They have a lot of opportunities for us to collaborate with other clubs, and they also have individual opportunities to help the students that are involved in each club become like more of leaders themselves.
What kinds of things do you do as a club? Are you meeting together? Or are you planning other activities for the school?
We meet a lot as a club during our Hive time. We have Hive once a week for a half hour, and it's really helpful for us to plan events. But we also meet every other week after school, for like 40 minutes typically, just to do some planning or bring activities to the club to help with mental health, whatever our focus is. Our biggest event is normally our therapy dog kissing booth in February. We have some handlers that come in typically at times of tragedy or when the school needs them most. And they all come and we built this massive kissing booth and we take photos. Students can take photos for free. This year, we turned it into a bit of a charity event and we actually took donations and had like a raffle event and we donated all the money we made to Foxfield Farm because it timed the timing was, like, right after their tragedy. Um, so that's probably our biggest event, but we do a lot, we're having a BC2M week in a couple of weeks, May's Mental Health Month, so we're definitely highlighting that a lot coming up, but yeah.
So, about how many students are part of this group?
We have in our Google Classroom, we have about 60, and typically our meetings, they range, it depends on what we're doing and what other activities are going on in the school, but we have a very solid group of people and we have like a team of 7 leaders that sometimes we meet on our own just to like make sure we're organized and prepare the group the right way.
That's great. You might have already answered this with your one of your previous answers, but is there something that you've accomplished as a group that you're pretty proud of?
Yeah, I would say our kissing booth is probably my favorite. The smile that you see and all the people that come to see us like that day is very rewarding. But also, I think that the littler things we do that sometimes feel like they go unnoticed because they like are overshadowed shadowed by our big events. But like we had an SAT prep meeting before break for our juniors, especially. I mean, it was for everyone, but for our juniors to just come and get resources and have time to, like, decompress before everyone started feeling the stress of SATs, and that meeting actually was our biggest turnout, I think, ever, and just that kind of thing's so rewarding because in our club, we've been working a lot this year on recruitment and trying to, like, reach as many people as we can in the school, and so to see everyone there was, very rewarding.
Okay, so the big question is, so this happens to be just what, like an hour after you finished taking the SATs. Did you tap into any of those strategies or skills during or after?
Yeah, I definitely did. We've talked a lot about coping strategies. We made stress balls and we've talked about that, but we also have talked about things that we can do, just breathing exercises. So I definitely use those. I use those on a daily basis, but especially today. And I'm hoping that everyone who was at that meeting and everyone who heard about all of our coping skills was able to like utilize something because we have a bunch of different resources so everyone can like pick what they need for themselves in that moment.
Mm. So are there, like the ones that you just shared, are there skills that you've learned, either practical skills or even leadership skills from being in this group that you're able to transfer into other parts of your life?
I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about leadership. I'm now the president of the club, but for a couple of years, I was just one of the leaders who was like sitting and kind of watching. And I learned a lot about collaboration because you rely on the group of leaders you're around a lot more than you would expect. And also, I've learned a lot about how like listening to others is so important because, I mean, I've learned a lot from listening to others, but also, like, you connect with people so much better when you listen to them before you, like, speak. A lot of our club is, like, trying to help people, but if you're just, like, shoving resources at them, they're not gonna utilize them. Sometimes they just need, like, a listening ear. So that's something I've really enjoyed, with the leadership, aspect of the club.
That's a good one you're pointing out. I'm looking up at my
Mhm.
wall here because we have the 7 habits of highly effective people. It's part of this program. It's called Leader in Me, and it's getting introduced at BHS next year. And one of those habits is seek first to understand, then to be understood, which really gets at how can you be a good listener before you chime in. So it's great that there's a place that's happening at the high school for you. For people that are wondering, for students that are wondering, uh, who can be part of this group?
anyone and everyone. Our goal ultimately is like to reach everyone. I mean, we have seen like there's Instagram's very helpful. We're able to like see what other clubs are doing, and a lot of clubs have massive turnouts. They have like hundreds of students coming to their meetings. They're holding like massive school-wide projects because there's so many kids involved. So like the more people we get involved, the better because the message gets out. We can do more with more hands on deck and staff as well. Staff support is really helpful, and it also empowers. I think it empowers the kids in the group to like feel support, and it helps build connection in our school as a whole.
Is there any advice you have to anyone that might be listening about what you can do as a student when you want your voice to be heard?
I would say get involved. I know we hear it a lot at the high school, get involved, do clubs, do this, do that, but sometimes it's so much as like reaching out to the principal to like give a suggestion or talking to a teacher about, "Hey, like I want to do this. Can you help me?" Like getting your voice out there means like getting involved, talking to someone you can trust to like help you work towards whatever you're needing to say, and also finding power in your own voice before you share it, because I think that's really important to make sure that like you are confident in yourself, but also like confident that your message is important because everyone's message is important, and making sure that like you have the strength within yourself to like present that to everyone the best way.
I think that is the perfect place to end. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
As we wrap up today's episode, I'm reminded that advocacy takes on many forms. It can look like legislation at the state level, it can look like policy decisions in a school district, and it could look like a student led group working to make a difference for their peers. No matter the level, the core remains the same: being informed, being thoughtful, and being willing to engage. To our students listening, your voice matters, and learning how to use it effectively is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Thank you for joining us on Hive Mind Headlines. Until next time, I'm your host, Dr. Chris Tranberg. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep using your voice to make a difference. Thanks for joining us on this journey and for being such an important part of what makes Branford an amazing place to live, learn, and grow. You can catch new episodes of Hive Mind Headlines on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and our district website at branfordschools.org. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to help others find the show. Let's celebrate all that makes Branford special.